Well, Magic the Gathering has a power creep problem. Is it a problem? Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie, and I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about power creep. We're going to talk about how Magic the Gathering cards just seem to keep getting more powerful and more powerful. We're going to talk about what effect that has on previous product, as well as looking into the future, what can and might happen down the road. Hopefully you're having a great day. Let me know your comments in the comment section about this, if you agree, if you disagree, what points you think that I miss. Tarkir Dragonstorm came out last week, and the cards are super powerful. Ugin, a very powerful card. You've got a lot of people talking about those cards. Mox Jasper, obviously another Mox into the mix, and lots of really strong, powerful cards. The rare land cycle, that island land is super powerful. Lots of things going into this set, and it makes me kind of go down the rabbit trail of how does that affect previous sets. If you have these new staples, these new cards that keep coming out, there's only so many cards that we can call staples, right? There's only so many cards that we can say, hey, these are essential Magic the Gathering cards, before it just gets into this whole mix of there's just so many cards. And so when you have these new cards that come out and the power level is really pushed, it pushes some of the old cards off of the list that you may build for Commander. Maybe it throws them into like a budget Commander deck or something like that, but it pushes those cards back and it gives more cards that you want now here in the future, which is really Wizards' goal, right? Let's not lose this sight that Wizards has to print cards that you don't already have, that you now want, so that you go out and buy booster boxes. And that really is the goal of Wizards of the Coast. And it's really easy to just get mad about power creep and to complain about power creep and to whine and moan about power creep. But the reality is Wizards of the Coast has a business, and that business is selling cards. And there's only so much reprint equity that you can do. You have to print new strong cards to get people like you to buy the boxes, to support the ecosystem, and to make sure that they are able to make money. You can hate that if you want, but that is the reality of the situation. That being said, it's only going to get worse. We have seen now, I really thought that this set, that Tarkir, that they were going to have to put it on a leash a little bit, because they've announced now that Universes Beyond is a standard legal thing, right? And I've always said that, like, Universes Beyond sets can't fail. They have to succeed, because they're not just representing Wizards of the Coast now. They're now representing Marvel. They're now representing, Final Fantasy. And once you put somebody else's name on something, the sets have to do well. Can you imagine if Lord of the Rings came out and it tanked to the ground, kind of like Baldur's Gate did? Baldur's Gate could fail because Baldur's Gate was connected to an IP that was owned by Wizards of the Coast. This can't fail. It's connected to somebody else. They can't let that other company down. And so they have to put cards into these sets that are incredibly powerful. So I thought Tarkir would be a little bit low powered because they had to save energy, save cards, save things going into Final Fantasy, going into the Spider-Man set. I thought those were going to be super powerful. But I also struggled with the idea of, with Standard, how can they continue to print powerful cards? They're going to make Standard super powerful. Well, what ended up happening is they just don't care. They don't care if Standard is super powerful, because frankly, there's not that many people playing Standard. And so what they're focused on now, it used to be like you couldn't print really powerful cards into Standard because it would warp the format. Now they're just like, well, everything's already Commander already. Everything's already limited already. And so they just print these powerful cards with really no repercussions. Where in the past, you had this limit. You had a ceiling on the power level of a Standard set. It's out the window now. It has to be out the window. Wizards wants it to be out the window so that they can print Standard Final Fantasy cards that are super powerful. So that's the future. And for a boomer like me, or an old Magic person, that's new. Like, I still look at Standard sets and I assume that they're going to be low powered and that kind of thing. They're not. That's the reality. But now this kind of brings this new world of, like, how does this affect previous cards. Like the one that comes to mind for whatever reason is Rhystic Study. And obviously they're not going to print a better version of Rhystic Study. It's just not possible, right? Like you just can't power creep Rhystic Study. It's just too good of a card. What are you going to do? Draw 2 cards every time? Like, what are you going to do? Make them pay 2? Like, you're not going to do that. But my point is, there are other cards that are staples like Rhystic Study that eventually they're going to start printing better versions of. Now, for the time being, what they have done is they've essentially made a better version of the card. Mox Jasper is a great version of this, right? Made a better version of a Mox, but redefined it to only be specific to one deck archetype. And they've done this, time and time again. They make a really, really strong, powerful card, but that card is only really, really strong and only really, really powerful for one archetype rather than one color. Like Rhystic Study, one of the best blue cards ever printed, right? But they hone it into being only power crept for one specific genre of deck. And I think that that's what they're trying to do. The question is what happens when they do something more along the lines of like the One Ring, and when you have these constant Orcish Bowmasters. I guess that's kind of honed into just black, but like you have these cards that are honed in to a specific, not a specific, an archetype, but actually go into wide deck ranges. Like, you've got the One Ring that is just played in a ton of commander decks. So that is what I think we need to worry about. And those are the things, less looking at specific archetype power creep, more wondering when will Wizards put in these bigger cards that are format warping, that warp all commander decks, that warp all those things. That is the big issue. And do they, and this is the big question, will they do that to cards that replace previous cards? Because once they start doing that, that's where this whole ecosystem can fail. I've already felt that the power crept sets have had a negative impact on like product, like sealed Magic boxes of the past. You have that mixed with like the flashy era now. It's just like people don't care to open, look at like Ravnica Allegiance, right? Nobody cares to open Ravnica Allegiance because there's no good cards in it. The power level of the cards in that set is complete trash compared to the power level of cards today. Then add on to the fact that there's no collector boxes, there's no flashy variants. It kind of erodes the value of previous sealed product, which some people are like, yeah, you should never invest in sealed product anyway. Other people are like, man, this is kind of altering the course of Magic the Gathering collecting and that kind of thing. But you no longer have like the power level of those previous sets. So now if you get into replacing cards, that's where things get really, really crazy because it's already affected the sealed product market of Magic the Gathering. Is this going to turn and start affecting singles where you have those staples that fall off in a heavier, you only can have so many cards in your commander decks, right? So you print one, you print the One Ring, and then all of a sudden you have 2 cards that are like the One Ring, and it just kind of snowballs cards off of the cycle. And that's what I would worry about with power creep. But I don't think we're there yet. I think what we're doing right now is dancing around it, and I would hope to see Wizards scale back as Universes Beyond continues to be a success. I hope they scale back on the power creep of it and just start relying more on like, this is the norm, there's a set, people like it, they don't have to power creep it all the way out of existence, but we'll see. Let me know what you think about power creep and Magic the Gathering in the comment section below. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. I'm super excited to see what happens with Final Fantasy, and when we see the spoilers coming out for that, the set seems super hype, and it'll be interesting to see if the power level can match the excitement from the community. Have yourself a great day, be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.